Hello everyone, my name is Zach, and welcome to On Cash Flow, where I help you become a master of your own cash flow. Now let's get started. Let's jump right into it with number one here, and that is you need to know how you're going to handle your cash flow. And more specifically, you need to know how you're going to handle your cash flow for the remaining year. Because in the year that you retire or the year that you declare financial independence, you might have an income source that stops, i.e. your job. So then you need to know, depending on what time of year it is and how much money you have saved up, do you have enough to basically handle that cash flow for the rest of the year? Are you going to make an asset withdrawal the first year, or are you just going to have, some extra cash savings that's going to handle that cash flow for that year? And then, of course, you have ongoing years in early retirement. In retirement, you need to know how you're going to handle your spending needs. And that means you're going to have to know how you're going to handle your cash flow. Are you going to make monthly withdrawals? Are you going to make quarterly withdrawals, annual withdrawals, or however you're going to do it? You definitely need to make sure that you have a plan to handle your cash flow. Next up, at number 2 on this list, you need to know how you're going to handle your current tax year. So what is it going to look like when you file your taxes this year? This first year, once you retire, you stop earning a regular W-2 income, and then you might have to have some withdrawals from your investments. Maybe you don't, maybe you have some cash savings. This might be your oddest tax planning year, because you still want to avoid taxes in a smart way. However, you also are going to need some money and some income to live off of. So you need to balance those. There are also some other opportunities that you can take advantage of. Because you earned income this year, this is your last year, like right when you're retiring, you might be able to continue to contribute to like a retirement account, for example. As long as you have that much earned income in that year, then you can put up to the maximum amount that you can contribute, you can put it into an IRA. Another thing you might be able to take advantage of in this current year is any kind of tax gain or tax loss harvesting. Depending on what your income is going to be that year, you might be able to tax gain harvest in a regular taxable account, which is basically where you sell some assets, you realize a tax gain, and then you rebuy those same assets. You may be able to do that because if you fall within a certain income spectrum, then those capital gains can be possibly taxed at 0%. And it's the same with tax loss harvesting. So if you have some investments that weren't so good, you might be able to tax loss harvest. And by doing so, you might be able to deduct a little bit of those losses against your regular W-2 income in that year. So definitely make sure that you have a strategy for your current year taxes when you go to declare your financial independence. Next up, number 3 on this list is you might want to think about making some really big payoffs. And what I mean by that is you might have some extra cash in this first year because you might still have been working. And so you might want to take that cash and make some big payoffs towards any kind of debt obligations that you have. Can you pay off your student loans? Do you have a credit card balance that you can pay off? Can you pay off an auto loan? Or do you have enough to actually pay off the remaining balance on your mortgage? Entering retirement, entering financial independence with less monthly debt obligations, meaning you have less fixed expenses, is going to increase your chance of success substantially. And it's also going to be very good for your peace of mind because you know that you can live on less if you don't have those monthly fixed obligations. So definitely consider making some debt payoffs in your final year before you declare your financial independence. Another thing that you really need to stop and think about is number 4 on this list, and that is your asset allocation. What is your current asset allocation? Make sure that you know what that is so you can calculate that and see where you're at. But also, you need to think about, does your asset allocation need to change now that you are retiring, now that you're declaring your financial independence, and you may no longer be working a regular W-2 income job? For example, with this chart that I created here, someone with 50% stocks and 15% bonds, once they're entering retirement, they might want to say, well, maybe this is too much stocks for me. Maybe I want to have less invested in stocks because they're so volatile, and maybe I want to redirect a little bit more of that into bonds. And so let's say they want 20% of their portfolio in bonds instead, and they want to reduce their stock allocation by that same 5%. So they might rebalance their portfolio and make it where their stocks are 45% and their bonds are 20%. And that might be, more of a smooth ride for them once they enter retirement because they have a little bit less volatility in their portfolio due to having less stock allocation. Just think about what your asset allocation is now and if it needs to change once you enter early retirement. Another thing you need to take some time and think about is your Social Security benefit. You need to reevaluate what you think your Social Security benefit is. And of course, the longer you have until you reach that age, the harder it's going to be. However, if you're within maybe like 10 or 15 years of reaching that Social Security benefit, then it might be a little bit easier for you to take this estimate. So if you go to ssa.gov, you can go on there and they should have an estimate of what they think your benefits are going to be. And now you can also input your own estimates there because they're basing it on your past earnings and they're projecting what your future earnings are going to be as well. So you can see right here that you can edit this like, hey, I'm going to retire at 67, which is currently my full retirement age and probably most of you out there. And then you can also put, hey, I expect to make this future annual salary, but then their little calculator here will estimate what you will get at different years. So age 62 is early, 67 is, regular, and then you can delay it as late as 70 years old. And based on those projections of a $50,000 future salary, this is what they expect. And you can play around with the numbers as well. You can enter, let's say, a future salary of $0, and then they can see, hey, this is what we estimate your benefit will be if you stopped earning money right now. So this is very important for you to do when you're declaring your financial independence, because you probably want to know what should you expect from Social Security in the future. And finally, one that isn't necessarily financial. Number 6 on this list is you should really think about making some plans for your future, not just financial plans. I'm talking about plans on what you're going to do with your time, because one of the greatest things about achieving financial independence, about retiring early, is having that time. But you need to make good use of that time. And so you need to make a plan on what you are going to be doing with your time. Me, for example, I love being outdoors. I love hiking and fishing and all that good stuff. And so when the weather is good, a lot of my time is spent getting outdoors. And that's something that I enjoy doing with my time. So this is something that you also need to think about, because you don't want to end up wasting all of that extra time that you work so hard to get back. Have a plan for what you're going to do with your time, just as, if not more important, than what you're going to do with your finances. Okay, now getting back to another financial one here. Number 7 on this list is to make sure that you have your net worth documented. Okay, you should definitely document what your net worth is when you're entering financial independence, and then you should continue checking and continue tracking your net worth throughout your journey. And it's not just about what the number is. It's just not about, increasing that number or making sure it doesn't decrease or anything like that. But by doing so, it can help keep you on track. It can help, make sure that you're making the right decisions. And by tracking your net worth, you can also look and see if you need to pivot. You need to change anything in your plan. Like if there's a bad year, maybe you need to slightly reduce your spending so that you do not deplete your portfolio more than what you need to do. Or hey, if you're having a really good year, maybe you can actually spend a little bit more than that. So there are many strategies that you can look at on increasing or decreasing your spending based on how your portfolio is doing. But the point here is that I think that continuing to track your net worth is very important, because it's going to help you make the right decisions going forward. Last but certainly not least on my list here is, I think that you should definitely triple check your plan, right? I'm sure you've looked at your financial independence plan, your early retirement plan, and you've run it through all kinds of different scenarios. But there's a reason why you do that. And that's because this is something that is very important, and it takes a lot of care and caution if you want to do it right. And what I like to do is I like to use a retirement planning software known as Bolden, because they can run many different scenarios. They also have like a cool feature called What Ifs. Here's a screenshot from my profile. You can see that you have different scenarios that you could run. I just named them 1, 2, and 3. And then you also have your baseline plan, because every time you create a new scenario, you can copy that baseline plan, and then you can adjust some of the features in that scenario, right? To say, well, what if I retired with less? What if I retired with more? What if I sold my home? Or any kind of different scenario. So you can rename those scenarios as you want. You can copy it from your baseline plan, and you can see, your different options. And basically you'll be triple checking your plan. And if you're interested in checking out Bolden to check out your financial independence plan, formerly known as New Retirement, then I would really appreciate it if you went to oncashflow.com/resources, and on that page clicked on the link through Bolden, because they are an affiliate of mine. So if you end up going through my affiliate link and you end up signing for their premium software, which you don't need to, you can sign up for their basic account, and you can even try out the premium account for free. They usually have a free trial on there. So if you go through that, then it would help me out. It would help support the channel. And of course, it's going to help you out dramatically as well, because then you can run all of those scenarios and see if your plan is on track. And if you enjoyed watching this video, please make sure you hit that like button before you go. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm Zach from oncashflow.com, and I hope to see you next time.